Welcome everybody to the Italian summer wine tasting this evening. Great to have you on board. There's a few new faces tonight, as well as a few regulars, Danny included, which is awesome to see. This tasting is actually something I've been personally quite looking forward to because it's a little bit different than usual. The aim of the tasting is for our three experts that we have here this evening to convince you that their chosen wine should be the first thing and the last thing in your glass this summer. And in order to do that, we're going to give each expert approximately 5 minutes to present, pitch, and convince you of the merits of their wine. Now, at the end of the tasting, we'll be launching a poll, which you can vote for your favorite. So there's a bit of friendly competition this evening and definitely the chance to win office bragging rights. I have told each of our experts, though, that they're capped to 5 minutes. So unlike Trump, in this debate, I will definitely mute you if you're talking too much. So,
Mikey, we're looking at you, mate.
Yep, I understand.
But more importantly than all of that is that we want this tasting to be as interactive and engaging and really as fun as possible. So comments and questions and tasting notes are definitely encouraged. You can do that via unmuting, and we'd love to hear you. If you're not too comfortable doing that, feel free to use the chat box. I will put those questions and tasting notes to the experts. Creativity is something that we definitely encourage. A few weeks ago, we had a gentleman compare his Sancerre to the caress of an inner thigh. So I don't know if that's your bag, but certainly you can get as creative as possible. So anyway, a couple of introductions to make. I'm Luke Baldwin, one of the senior wine brokers here, and I'll be chairing the presentation. Within our panel, we have three of United Cellars' finest. So the honourable member of FRIULI, Michael Morgan. Michael will be presenting wine number 1, which is the CESCON Pinot Grigio. Give us a wave, Michael. I see you're very COVID
Hi guys,
safe there.
yep, COVID safe. Got my hand sanitizer.
Just don't drink it, mate.
Yep.
So just to give you a brief introduction to Michael, he's our cellar release manager. He's also a self-confessed wine student of the world. After spending 7 years on the sales floor here at United, he embarked on a bit of an epic travel around Europe. This included sampling some of the best wines in Italy, Barolo, as well as other parts of Italy, Slovenia, Greece, Spain, and France. And it culminated in 18 months working in the wine industry in London, in the investment market, at an award-winning Italian wine bar, as well as a few other gigs. So he really brings a wealth of knowledge to the table today, and I'm very excited to get his thoughts on the CESCON.
Absolutely.
And he's not competitive at all.
Not even slightly.
So moving into wine number 2, the Pecorino, we have Jane Moore. Jane is originally from the North Island of New Zealand. After an early career in software in Sydney, she moved to Canada for a 2-year working holiday. She completed her WSET level 2 through her work there, which really sparked her interest in wine. She left Canada to go to the South Island of New Zealand and lived and worked for 2 years in Central Otago at Gibston Valley Winery as the restaurant manager there. And she was also actually working as the ambassador for the luxury wine brand that they had there. So she toured New Zealand and presented those wines. Eventually, she came back to Australia, this time in Margaret River, where she was working at Xanadu, and eventually came back to Sydney and started working with us at United Cellars, and we're very happy to have her. So welcome, Jane.
Evening, everyone. Mikey, I can understand how you get confused between hand sanitizer and your wine, but that's okay. It's all good.
Let's fight early here, guys.
We'll have a good night.
Okay, last but no means least, we have wine number 2, which is the Dolcetto, which Mark will be leading. If you haven't met Mark in previous tastings, he's our head wine buyer. He began his career in wine through, basically since he could start drinking legally at the age of 18. After graduating university with a degree in psychology, he spent a bit of time in the Australian wine game before moving to London to kind of perfect his craft. He spent a lot of time in Italy. Mark actually speaks Italian like one born to the region, so he's already corrected me on my pronunciation, which I massively appreciated. Thank you. So who better to tell the story of the Dolcetto? Mark also is actually in his second year of the Master of Wine program. So in his view, his opinion should be automatically agreed upon and all votes immediately given to him. So welcome, Mark.
Worth a try, isn't it? Just one thing that I'll quickly add in, guys. You're seeing a bit of an unusual screen here. We're going to be viewing things more in this kind of gallery picture. And if you can't see it clearly, I would strongly encourage you to hit the top right button of your screen, just kind of up here, and click on gallery view so you can kind of see everyone that's talking to you tonight. We will be doing, every one of us will be doing a little presentation, but mainly we want to keep it to talking amongst ourselves, talking with you guys, and to have some nice healthy debate, as we call it.
Excellent. Now, with that debate in mind, a couple of kind of factors that I thought as potentially criteria for your judgment. I think obviously wine is the first thing. If you enjoy the wine, do consider the presentation, and just as importantly, think about whether you would want to revisit this wine on a hot summer's evening. What is the first thing that you want in your glass? That's what this whole presentation is all about. So that is pretty much that. I'll just rifle off a couple of other things whilst everyone is here. Firstly, please start pouring your wines. You feel free to compare and contrast as we go. There's no need to just strictly stick to the one wine to start off with. So please start doing that. If you guys are planning your Thursday nights moving forward in October, we do have 2 more tastings. We have the Summer of Riesling on the 22nd, and then the week following, we have a very special tasting with the man himself, Bruce Tyrrell. Bruce will be taking us through a VAT 1 vertical, which, if you like Semillon, is certainly not to be missed. I should also mention, if you guys have been following us on social media, we have our Master of Wine over in Europe, Alistair Cooper, doing basically vlogging every day whilst he's journeying through the Rhone to taste the en primeur offerings that they have for 2019. So I've found them really entertaining. You can follow them on Facebook or on our website, and in the near future, Ali is going to be bringing us some nice gifts over from Rhone. So if Rhone is your bag, stay tuned. Now, just finally, for those who have been at tastings before, we have the Wheel of Wine quiz. So this is your chance to win your favorite wine of the evening. We're going to do 2 quiz questions between each wine. Just text in with your name, your email, and your answer. An incorrect answer gets you 1 entry. A correct answer gets you 3 entries, and then we'll be spinning the Wheel of Wine at the end of the night. So good luck with that. Now,
sorry, just to be clear, I'm the only one that can enter that. No one else is allowed to enter.
Poor Danny's probably done, I don't know how many tastings you've done now, 15 maybe, Danny, and you've never won the Wheel of Wine.
I've never won, but tonight's my night. No one else can vote.
If you vote for me, I guarantee that you'll win the Wheel of Wine.
Yeah, it starts early, doesn't it? The lies start early.
So look, that's enough of me. I'm really keen to start drinking these wines and start hearing the presentations. So I'm going to hand over to Michael with the CESCON Pinot Grigio.
Hi guys, and once again, welcome to tonight's Italian wines, summer wines debate, tasting. I'm really happy to be presenting to you one of my favorite wines that I actually sold within my first week of selling wine, which is the CESCON Pinot Grigio. But first and foremost, you got to make sure that you vote for me. That's 92065. So we're all clear. 92065. It's the only number you need to remember. Write that down, okay? And I'm speaking first because CESCON is number 1, FRIULI is number 1, and I'll tell you why right now. Just remember, just one little thing. As number 1, it's important to remember that tonight the voting matters, and your votes count. So make sure that you're voting for that number right there that you see. Okay. All right. So Michael, essentially, CESCON is a generational winery. They were first established in the rolling hills of northeast of that beautiful countryside in Italy, and They established in 1957 with one main ideal in mind. It was all about passion. It's passion for the grapes, it's passion for the land, and it's passion for having a good time whilst drinking good wine. There are 10 DOC and 4 DOCG areas that grow 30 different wine varieties in very small quantities throughout Friuli, Venezia. But I think we can all probably agree that the most famous that comes out of there is Pinot Grigio. Now take your glass and close your eyes. And imagine, if you will, that you have just been sitting near the foot of the mountains in Friuli. You've had a brilliant day touring the region, all through the picturesque countryside, sampling the local cuisine and voting for me. And what's the only thing that could make that better? I think is drinking a nice, refreshing white wine as the sun is dipping over that gorgeous mountainside. So this is Italo CESCON, and this is what it's designed for. Have a drink right now, everybody. Have a drink and see what you think. I love it. I love it because there's a bit of freshness to it. There's nice minerality there as well. It's something that you don't have to think too much about. But if you wanted to show it to somebody that really knows their wines, there's enough of that minerality and that lovely kind of salivating acidity that makes you want to drink more and more of it. It pairs well with food and it pairs well without food. It's previously been named the best value white wine in the world by Decanter magazine in 2007, I believe. And because of the sensational client feedback as early as 2012, we've started importing our own exclusive label. Now, if you have a look at the bottle yourself there that you've got sitting right in front of you, you'll notice it is probably the most picturesque bottle on the planet. And what we unfortunately can't bring into the country due to the really strict laws of import and export in Australia is what's called the Dolcetto. Now, the Dolcetto is a little cutting of the vine that Grandma Anna used to cut out of the vineyard and used to wrap by hand around each and every single bottle, and that still happens throughout Europe, although I have to admit it's probably not her that's doing it by herself now, because she would start to get some pretty serious joint pain.
I think she might be in her 90s now, so yes.
Yeah, I think the intricacy of wrapping that. But what you'll see is that there is a little scroll that has a nice little story about the vineyard and where it comes from. I think it's zesty and it's balanced. I think it's a beautiful Pinot Grigio, whether you're a wine expert or you're a novice. It goes well with food and it goes well without. And most importantly, it's the wine I'm presenting, which is why you should vote 92065. Now, Danny, what do you think?
It's a fabulous Pinot Grigio example, I think. Thank you, Michael, for checking in. You just want my vote, I know.
But he's not going to get it, so that's okay.
What about the Berman family? What do you guys think of it? You look like you're eating something nice and fresh with it tonight. Is that the case?
Just have to wait for Charles to unmute. I think they're just about to unmute. No.
No,
No?
maybe not.
Maybe not?
I'll speak on behalf of Charles. He thinks it's amazing, and they're having cheese.
Hey, we are muted. Sorry about that.
Go on, Charles.
It's a beautiful, beautiful crisp wine, and I can imagine sitting on Sydney Harbour at 5 o'clock in the afternoon watching twilight races, drinking this wine. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a beautiful picture to put in our minds. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Charles, did he pay you before this started, or I mean,
I'll talk to you after.
I thought we had something.
I almost think it's better on its own than with food.
Yeah?
It's nice with food too, but you don't want very strong tasting food with it.
I think that is...
We have beautiful soft cheeses.
I think that's really, that's quite an excellent synopsis, and what a good looking synopsis that was as well. I think that I would tend to agree with you there. I mean, if the sun's beating down and you're getting ready to eat dinner that evening, it's the perfect way to start the evening as well. It's got a nice little whack of flavour there. It's nice and fresh. And for me, look, I think that my glass wasn't quite large enough, which is a shame. But I'm going to continue to enjoy drinking it. And just remember, vote early, vote often, vote 92065, guys.
Yes.
Well, there we go. We've set the bar pretty high with that. I mean, I've got to say, I absolutely love this wine, and I have a fair few clients of my own that really enjoy it. I know the team leg, especially Michael, is a big fan of this one. What are your thoughts, Michael?
Well, I'm a big fan, but I can't possibly vote for Michael. He asks for it too often.
We share a namesake. Come on, Mike. We've got to do this.
The most diplomatic way possible. Everyone wait till the end and see all the presentations before you vote.
Yeah.
I
Or
agree.
vote now before they move the ballot box and you have to drive across the living room to get to it.
They don't have the phone number to vote to yet, so
I agree.
flaw in the system.
But look, just as much as we're here for the voting, we are also here for the wine and the education aspect of it. Mark, obviously, I'm assuming Grigio is a large part of what you do with the Master of Wine. Talk to me about this and how it maybe compares to an Australian example.
Great question, mate. So for me, one of the things that really attracted me to the wines of CESCON was that they're quite different to the standard Italian Pinot Grigio. So a lot of Pinot Grigio that you get from that area of Friuli, not however you were saying it, Michael, I'm sorry, Friuli, is actually it's really, really mass market. It's incredibly it's all machine harvested. It's very, very simple, and it's kind of like I think of a lot as Europe's Marlborough Sauv Blanc. It's easy to drink. It's simple, but there's nothing really complex about it at all. But that's where these guys come in. They're in full conversion to organic. They've actually completed conversion to organic now. The next vintage that we get of this wine, I think it's the 2019 vintage, will be fully organic, certified organic, which is fantastic. Damn it! I haven't turned off the screen. Danny's drawing all over my screen.
That actually makes it look quite nice, but
it's it's beautiful. So it's just got that little bit more. I'm not going to say that organic wines are better than all other wines, but I think it's just got a little bit more depth and power and concentration and interest compared to an Australian example. It's just that little bit lighter in alcohol. It's got a little bit more crispness. That kind of I would call this green, kind of young green pear instead of really ripe pear that you get in Australian examples. So yeah, that'd be my pitch.
beautiful. Well, I think that for us wraps up the CESCON Pinot Grigio quite nicely. Michael, in 10 seconds, can you give us the last thing to remember about this wine?
Just remember that this is the sort of wine that you need to share with people, whether it's your family or your friends or sharing it with yourself. It's the kind of wine you can enjoy at any stage, at any time, and especially when you're voting 92065.
Right, that's it. Sorry, you're done.
That's 10 seconds.
Right, Mark, let's move us on one and start having a look at wine number 2. But first, before we do that, whilst you're pouring wine number 2, which is the Pecorino, we have a quiz question. So as you can read on the screen, approximately how many different grape varieties exist in Italy? So your answers are 6, 60, 600, or 6,000. So just remember, text your name, your email, and your answer, 1, 2, 3, or 4, to the number on the screen there, and it's your chance to win your favorite bottle. So good luck with that. We'll time that for about 30 more seconds to get your answers in.
Danny, it's your time to shine, mate. It's your time to shine.
And while everyone's doing that, just a heads up, we've got a different mobile number to text in for the voting at the end. So Luke will display that at the end of all 3 presentations when you can make an informed decision. He'll show the mobile number to text the code to for whichever was your favorite number 2, whichever one. And yeah, so just don't text to the same number as this one.
It's very measured of you, Jane. I like that.
Yeah, I think she should be a politician or something.
Yeah, very diplomatic. Okay, let's give it another 10 more seconds. Get your text in if you haven't done so already. And of course,
pouring your glasses of Pecorino potentially.
Start pouring your glasses. Exactly right, Mark. Okay, so should we move on to wine number 2, which is of course the Pecorino. So I'm going to hand over
now, or we're doing it at the end.
Let's do them at the end this time, should we?
Sure.
Yeah, keep people guessing.
Sure.
So yes, Jane, I'm going to hand over to you.
Thanks, Luke. So I want to start off with just getting a bit of a gauge in the meeting. Hands up who's had any run-ins with Pecorino before. Not the cheese, the wine. They're actually unrelated, but they do go very well together. Okay, so honestly, I only see a couple of hands, which is cool because Pecorino is a little bit more obscure. So I'm gonna take a step back and have a quick look at the region of Abruzzo. Now, make sure you guys are sipping throughout and get a little bit of an idea of where we're going. So see the map coming up here, perfect. So Luke, if you just move us on a little bit, perfect. Awesome. So if you guys can see that there, you can actually see that Abruzzo is quite a large region. And unfortunately, it's relatively unknown to a lot of people, which really is unfortunate because it does have the highest level of biodiversity and climate diversity in Italy, over a very short distance, in fact. So you can see that the region has this long line of coastline there, but it also has some of the highest mountains in Italy and in Europe. It's also got, Luke, if you can pause it right there. If we see there's a couple of white caps there, the one to the north, not that one, the long skinny one, that's actually a glacier, which is quite similar to a permafrost in Siberia. All of this whilst being in the warm south of Italy. There's a lot going on in this region. You can sort of see why it's got such a drastic range of temperatures and climates. But moving on to wine in this region, high quality wine was actually a really recent introduction to here, and it was introduced by Gianni Masciarelli, the maker of this wine, who brought this concept in about 20 years ago to actually develop the wines by terroir instead of just by the grape varietal. And he's gone so far as to separate the curators of the vineyard and the actual wineries and the vinification themselves. He's gone so far as to separate that out by terroir. It all gets processed separately. So he really drove this change here. Now, in regards to this Pecorino, you can see where that bottle is there. That is where these grapes are from. Luke, if you just zoom out a little bit, I just want to show everybody that we're quite close to the mountains there. Can you see that? And we've still got that coastline over the other side, but we're sort of getting a bit far away from it now. So these grapes come from a clash between two different climates. So we've got like this mountain climate clashing with this sort of coastline climate. And it's kind of a really cool sort of mix there.
Jane, sorry to interrupt you. Just a personal question. Do you know the roundabouts kind of altitude of this vineyard? It's something that we get asked quite a lot.
Yeah, so this one's actually at 450 meters altitude, which technically puts it in the realm of a mountain wine, but it's not the highest sort of peak of vineyards that they have in this area. And so with that sort of diurnal shift in temperature as well, we actually get a lot of freshness in this wine. So moving on a little bit, a lot of the soil in this area is actually chalk based, and chalk is a type of limestone. So I'm assuming everyone here is quite familiar with limestone soil in terms of Australia, especially in places where we have Riesling, like the Clare Valley. So limestone, very good at retaining that freshness and that acidity, which is really important with this wine. Now, my personal one-word reason for this wine being the best: versatility. This wine actually, it retains its high acidity. It's able to accumulate the sugars as well to add the richness and a bit of roundness to the wine, but it's also a semi-aromatic grape. So everyone give that a little bit of a smell if you haven't already. I actually smell a bit of pineapple coming through on there now that it's warmed up a little bit. So it's changed quite a bit since it's heated up out of the fridge. And I hope everyone allowed them to just warm up just a little bit to get that bit of taste in there. Beautiful. So I think that this wine here, it provides more complexity, a little bit more roundness on the palate than your typical fresh summer whites like Sauvignon Blanc or Pinot Grigio. It just adds that little bit extra to it whilst not being too overly round and creamy like a Chardonnay. So I sort of sit this along the lines of a Chablis style wine, but without the price tag. $35 compared to $80, $90 and up for a Premier Cru Chablis and more. So, I mean, the boys will try and argue with that, but I think that's a pretty good bang for your buck right there.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really keen, Jane, to open up the floor because I know there's a lot of Chablis drinkers in our audience this evening, and I know one of them is the boss, Anthony. Anthony, I'm keen to get your thoughts on the Pecorino.
I have to unmute myself. Yeah, look, you know, I agree. I think Jane's hit the nail on the head. It's got a beautiful, lovely flavour to it, and you know, I'm having chicken schnitzel, I've got to say, with it. So you know, it's going down beautifully. So.
A true Aussie pair.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let me paint. Oh, sorry.
There's nothing better than a good chicken schnitzel, you know that, right?
Except a good CESCON Pinot Grigio.
Well, I do appreciate, but I've got to say, Jane has been persuasive. I mean, you know, she's delivered a very good summation, and you know, thinking about this wine, I think, you know, it just sings.
You know what? Let's paint a little picture for you here. Now, forgive me, I'm from New Zealand. I've got to say a cheesy joke here, but picture sitting on somebody's balcony. You're sipping on this wine while someone else is cooking shrimp on the barbie. I'm sorry, but it goes so well with seafood. 100% seafood matching wine, amazing for summer. But as you can see right now, it's got that refreshing element to it that you can really drink it without food as well. So moving further into the versatility, somebody's cooking for you on the barbecue, maybe shrimp, maybe other things. You're sitting here sipping it, and then the food is served, and you just finish the rest of that bottle with your delicious meal. I can't think of a better scenario in summer. But I mean, to quote the only good line from Mike Pence's speech, I mean, the boys, they're entitled to their opinion, but they're not entitled to their own facts. So.
Nicely said, Jane. I'm keen to open up the floor again. Sue, we haven't heard from you, and obviously we'll have Bruce. If Bruce, you've unmuted, and then we'll go to Sue if that's okay. Bruce, take it away.
Yeah, just what's the grape, Jane?
Pecorino.
Thank
you.
So
100% Pecorino. Yeah.
Yep.
So not blended at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sue, are you interested in giving us your thoughts? Can you unmute there? If you're struggling there, I'll tell you what, Jane, I'm interested to find out, just while Sue works that one, have we got any examples of Pecorino in Australia? Can we look to pick those up?
So Pecorino honestly isn't, that's one of my reasons for arguing this case. It's really not been popularized here as much, and I'm sure Mark can touch a bit more on the marketing side afterwards, but this is kind of one of the reasons that I picked this wine. Is I really believe it's a hidden gem of wine. And thank you, Danny. Yes, I have that one too. Yes.
Danny's studying up on it. He's going to check you up on this, Jane.
Yeah, part of the reason is because it really is a hidden gem of wine where a lot of people haven't heard of it, don't really know about it. Not to mention, it is not a super easy grape to manage and to grow. So it can be a bit fickle. So obviously, you know, for those reasons. And I think it's a lot of marketing as well that it hasn't been brought here. We have so many rivaling fresh whites that don't contain this amount of complexity and balance as this one does. However, they do the trick. Mark, do you want to comment on that?
I would just say, so first of all, you are bang on. Pecorino is not only rare outside of Italy, it's also rare outside of Abruzzo. It's native to that region. It's found in areas slightly to the north, but by and large, Abruzzo is the home of Pecorino, and it doesn't tend to travel too much more. Now, the main reason, as Jane touched on, it ties in almost precisely to what we were talking about when we showed you those images of the mountains next to the sea, which is a very, very unique place, having a glacier right next to the ocean. What that means, this grape grows best in areas where it has very, very warm days, but utterly chilling nights. And that's a very rare place, a very, very rare thing to get. Even in the middle of summer, I had the great pleasure of visiting Masciarelli and visiting the Castello di Semivicoli, which is on the label of the bottle you're drinking right now. That's the castle of the home, the castle that they have, that they own, the Masciarelli family. And you can go 20 minutes inland up the mountain and you can go skiing, or you go 30 minutes down the mountain and you can go swimming. It's a very, very unique part of the world, and I think that's one of the main reasons why Pecorino doesn't tend to grow anywhere other than this unique part of the world.
Amazing.
Sue, called Pecorino.
Yeah, I have to apologise to Michael, but I think Jane's in the lead on this one.
Ooh.
Pecorino, not something I've tried before, but yeah, I'm really liking it.
Amazing.
Ooh, controversial.
Sue, you're welcome to come to these anytime. Sorry, Charles, you said, did you and Ana Rosa say something?
Why is it called Pecorino?
It's nothing to do with the cheese. It actually isn't, but it's a bit of a convoluted history that doesn't give a clear answer, but they believe that the areas were used to move sheep, and the word pecora comes from sheep. So that's sort of the theory going about on the internet.
a lot of the wines and the foods as well. So cheese is like Parma ham is another example. It's from the town or the city of Parma. And Brunello di Montalcino is from the town of Montalcino. So a lot of wines have taken the names of towns as well. I think there's a town in Abruzzo that's called Pecorino. So.
Okay, it's probably that. Yeah.
If I could just make one final comment, Michael, I very, very much agree with that aniseed-esque note. I actually get it as a bit of fennel. I get a little bit of fennel in this, which I remember writing in my initial tasting. That's when I had this wine. So it's a good pickup.
Look at that, Michael. Sign him up to the Master of Wine program.
Well, it wasn't me. We have a master of coffee amongst us. Only she's a mistress.
We're also
and she has a very fine palate. It was actually Jessica that identified.
The crossovers are very, very, very clear between coffee and wine. One's just for the morning and one's for the night. That's all.
Well, she's done hers already, Mark. So you should really feel jealous, I think.
Thank God it's nice.
Fantastic. Well done, Team Leg. That was an excellent pick. Okay, so I guess, Jane, if you can leave us with your final statements on this wine, if you can keep it within about 10 and 20 seconds, we'd love to hear them.
Beautiful. So I will repeat versatility. I think it's awesome to have a versatile wine in summer that you can drink without food. But as I mentioned before, it's a hidden gem. You get tremendous bang for your buck in this wine. It's got the complexity, the freshness, the acidity. It's got everything I want in a summer wine and more for $35.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, you've done very well on that wine, and I'm personally quite a big fan of it. But we're going to move on, and we've still got a Dolcetto to get into. But before then, we've got another quiz question. So question number 2, Italy was called what by the ancient Greeks? And Mark, you're going to absolutely shudder at this pronunciation again. Finland, Introtria, Eden, and this one's, I'm going to struggle, Adjarakitiko. Is that about right?
Georgitiko.
Jane, whilst people are texting, I should say, remember the numbers on the screen there in the bottom right, name, email, and your answer. I'm just going to ask a couple of questions that we find come up quite a lot in tastings. Firstly, oak. Has the Pecorino seen any oak?
No, this one hasn't seen any oak at all. The complexity and that bit of roundness is actually come from the time it's spent on lees in stainless steel tanks. So for those of you who don't know, lees is the dead yeast that's a byproduct during the alcoholic fermentation stage and is often left in contact with and stirred with wine for extended periods of time to add extra flavour and complexity.
Excellent stuff. And in 10 seconds or so, what about age? Can you age this?
Yes is the answer. You can definitely get another 5 years or so out of this wine in particular, like any wine. Age comes with quality as well. So you can get, if you want $200 bottles of Pecorino that'll age much, much longer, you might be able to find a $5 bottle over in Europe that, you know, drink in the next year.
Fantastic stuff. Fantastic stuff. So I hope everybody's got their text messages in. As mentioned, we'll be spinning the wheel of wine at the end of the evening, so good luck with that. And without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Mark, who's going to take us through the Dolcetto.
Thank you very much, Luke, and thank you to all my team. You've all spoken very, very well. I'm very proud. But now we're going to get into some serious stuff here. So I hope you have a nice glass of Dolcetto poured. Hopefully you paid attention to the email and you've got a slight chill on this wine. If not, I will not judge you if you put a small block of ice in the wine just to give it a bit of a chill. However, I'll just point out as the head wine buyer for United Cellars, I make the final choices on all of the wines that we import as a company, and I was the one who chose to represent Pietro Rinaldi and this Dolcetto, the Madonna di Como Dolcetto this evening. Pietro Rinaldi are one of the jewels in the crown of Piedmont, and they're one of the most amazing wineries that we bring in. We're very proud to have an association with this beautiful winery. And every time we visit Piemonte, the foot of the mountains, we always stay at Pietro Rinaldi's at the house. They have a little guest house next to their home, and they let us stay there every single time we go there. So I have a very close association with this winery and with this wine, and very much a very good, strong love for these wines. So, but don't let that sway you. I mean, you know, just because they have a guest house where our customers are allowed to go, and maybe if you vote for me, you might have a good word put in for you. I mean, who knows? That might happen. You know, don't let that sway you, please. Don't let that sway you. Instead, I'll ask you to have a smell of this wine, and we're going to go through have a quick view of where we are located and where this wine comes from. As I said,
Sorry, Mark.
Sorry,
whilst
mate.
Everybody is giving that Dolcetto a quick whiff. Dolcetto, does that mean it's sweet? I thought that translates as sweet.
Good question. Good question. So dolce is definitely the Italian word for sweet, and dolcetto literally translates to little sweet one. What that doesn't mean that it's sweet at all. When you try it, you'll see it's absolutely bone dry. It's drier than a lot of wines we have in Australia, as a matter of fact. However, what it refers to is the tiny little berries that dolcetto on the vine is. It was basically a way, it was called dolcetto so that when people were walking through the vineyards, they could recognize the dolcetto as it was compared to the barbera or the nebbiolo in the vine, so that they wouldn't mix them up and they wouldn't blend them. They always have them separate. So as you'll see here, Piemonte is located in the very northwest of Italy. Piemonte literally translates to the foot of the mountain. And this is an incredibly mountainous region. It's a land of harsh winters and hot summers. And in all honesty, it's not known so much for the wine that you've got in front of you, for Dolcetto. It's known for Nebbiolo, and most recognizably for Barolo and Barbaresco. These are, these are incredibly complex and they're very expensive wines. I'm sure anyone who's seen Barolo, Barbaresco or drunk it before, you'll understand they are very, very expensive wines. And often Dolcetto was seen as almost like it was a place filler, basically. It was so here we get, there's a beautiful view of Pietro Rinaldi's estates, the Madonna di Como estate, which is on your label here. The Madonna di Como is the sub-region that they exist in. But yeah, Dolcetto was often seen as the wine that you would have while you wait for your Barolo to be ready. It was kind of seen as like a filler wine. However, in the last few years, it's definitely had it's definitely gained a lot more popularity. So if you wouldn't mind, if we go back to gallery view, I'm just going to ask the question. Glasses up if you have tried a Dolcetto before. It's pretty. So a few more than the Pecorino, which is not really a huge surprise, but it's also not a surprise if you've never tried Dolcetto before, because there are the last report was there are 6,000 hectares of Dolcetto planted in the world. So it's really not it's not a very widely spread grape variety, and it is just like Pecorino. It's suited almost entirely to this region of Piemonte.
And Mark, I mean, why is it only grown in this part of the world?
Good question. So again, it's tied quite similarly to like the Pecorino. Piemonte grows 3 grape varieties: Nebbiolo, Barbera, and Dolcetto. And each 3 of these grape varieties is only really found in Piemonte. It has very, very unique soils. Has these they have a limestone subsoil like in Abruzzo, but it's all about over the centuries and millennia. It's become such a rocky area because of the continental shift, and it's the undulations of this area that have created these beautiful hillsides that are horrible to jog up, as I found out last year when I was going for a nice friendly morning jog, which turned out to be horrific. But I
Love it.
yeah, but I would recommend it, but I also wouldn't recommend it. But it's so it's these hillsides, these beautiful hillsides, and what happens is the cool air from the coast, from the Ligurian coast, it actually comes through and it settles in these little pockets, and it settles over the base of the hillsides. That's where the Nebbiolo is. Now, Nebbiolo seem to have, it's called Nebbiolo because nebbia means the fog. And so that sits over the fog area. But Dolcetto sits right at the top of the hill. It gets all of the sunshine and it sucks in the sunshine. So now, one thing that I'll point out here is there's one of the reasons why I think this is the perfect wine for summer. And I mean, I'm up against the wall here, you know. I want your sympathy vote because I'm the only one with a red wine here, you know. So, but the reason that I think this is a perfect summer wine, despite it being a red wine, is the growth in the industry that I'm seeing right now, and it's happening all across the world, of light reds. Now, a lot of our customers, I've seen this happening day in, day out, where people are moving away from the big, heavy Shiraz and Cabernet, and they're moving more towards lighter styles like Pinot Noir, or like a lighter style Grenache. The rise of Rosé is another example of red wine, lighter red styles that are becoming more and more and more popular. Rosé in Australia, sales of it have just gone through the absolute roof. It's been doubling year on year on year. So light reds are a huge category in Australia that I really think we need to jump on. I mean, those of you who have had at Christmas time a sparkling Shiraz, you'll understand the beauty of a chilled red. It goes so well with our culture, with our food, with our and with our weather, obviously. And this, with a little chill or a little ice cube in it, is no exception. You get these gorgeous red berry flavors. You get a crisp acidity, a little tingle of tannin I get, that makes it a beautiful food wine. But it is overall, it is a refreshing wine, a really beautifully refreshing wine. So
fantastic, Mark. That's been over 5, I'm afraid.
Oh,
I'm going to have to.
damn it,
I'm going to have to
fast.
stop you there. Whilst I was loving the dulcet tones of your tasting notes, I would love to open up the floor again. Couple of comments through the text box. Bruce, I'll be with you in just one tick. Danny, summer loving had me a blast. Summer loving happened so fast. Maybe not the most useful one, but we appreciate it all the same. Michael's comment was, or question was, is this picked early or late? Mark.
Sorry, say that again. I didn't.
Michael's question on the text box was, is this picked early or late?
Picked early or late. Good question. This is picked incredibly early. And one final pitch that I need to throw in for this wine, I'm going to sneak it in. This it's picked quite early because it's not a lot of people know this. It's quite a tannic grape variety if you let it grow, and it actually has one of the highest concentrations of anthocyanins in it. Now, anthocyanins are an antioxidant, and they are what many scientists believe is actually really good for heart health and cancer reduction. So this is actually the best wine for you of all the 3. So, of course, you should be voting for that.
Bruce, I'm really sorry I interrupted you. Please give us your question.
No, look, one of my favourites is Barbera d'Alba. And why did you pick the Dolcetto over the Barbera?
The Barbera, first of all, Barbera always has a higher potential alcohol from a legal perspective, but also from just a growth perspective. It always gets up to the kind of 14% alcohol. And for me, I was looking for a red wine that would match our climate in having a crispness and a freshness, but also a lighter style of alcohol. This is 13.5, but I think it's actually a little bit under that. They've just kind of rounded it up to 13.5. It's closer to 13. I think they just put 13.5 on every single bottle, to be honest. So, but it's Barbera for me gets really it can get a lot thicker as a wine. And a lot heavier in alcohol as well. So I thought this would be a much more suitable wine for us.
Excellent. Anna, we haven't heard from you yet. If you'd care to unmute and give us your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the Dolcetto?
Hi, Luke. I think it's lovely. It's bone dry, which is something that I really enjoy. And I think it's delicious. It is a lighter red. It's still got some interesting complexity in it, and I'm enjoying it very much. Thank you, Mark.
Absolute pleasure. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I know I love it myself, and I'm so glad to be trying to convince you guys to love it a bit more. And light reds in general, not just Dolcetto, but light reds in general. They're lovely.
So Anthony Gattas, who I think accompanied you on that trip to Italy, Mark has said, if anyone is interested, he can share video footage of Mark trying to run up that hill.
That's been deleted, Anthony. That's been deleted. Don't worry.
So unless anyone has any more comments or questions, Mark, I will leave it to you for your final comments, if that's okay.
Absolutely. So one final comment that I will make is food matching. I know that was something that we talked about at the start. This wine is absolutely perfect for sitting out on the balcony or sitting out on the deck. Soft cheeses.
I had the balcony scenario just
Good. All right, fine. Deck. Let's say deck, and having it with some soft cheeses, and charcuterie meats as well. This is absolute perfection. The slight little tingle of tannin you get with a soft cheese is just magic.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. And I should say thank you to all of our guest speakers this evening. I know I'm finding it very hard to pick between those 3. Each have, a lot going for them. But before we give you the option to vote, what we're going to do is reveal or spin the wheel of wine. So I'm just going to get that all started. Thank you so much for everybody who's texted in. We always appreciate it, and well done to everybody who got the correct answers. So I'm just going to share my screen now. Okay, can everybody see this? The spinning wheel? Yes, good stuff.
Yep.
Good stuff. Yeah.
There we go.
Yep, got it.
Hopefully you can see your name in there. Well done to everybody who got the 2 correct answers. Just to, well, perhaps Mark, you could give us the two correct answers to that. How many varietals are there in Italy to start off with?
The grape varieties, this was obviously a bit of a looser one. I rounded it to the closest 0, but the closest number of grape varieties in Italy is currently 6,000. And the name that the Greeks originally had for Italy when they arrived, because it had so many native grapes growing in it, was Inotria, which means land of vines.
I cannot believe there's 6,000 grapes in Italy. How do you go about picking the ones that you want?
That is part of the joy and the unwinding of Italy.
Okay, well done to everybody who got those correct. I'm going to give the spin, and good luck as well.
Danny never won. He's on there.
He's got a new name that suits him a bit better.
Danny never won.
Bruce.
Nice.
Congratulations. Do we have Bruce on gallery view? Is Bruce there? Yes.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Yeah, Bruce is here. Yeah.
Bruce, we'd love you to give a toast if you could.
Dolcetto.
Hey, cheers.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. Okay, so I am just going to get this poll up and running so everyone can text in to vote. Guys, Michael, we haven't heard from you. Jane, we haven't heard from you for a while. Is there anything you guys want to just add? We've got 30 seconds each to give us your final pitch. Michael, let's start with you.
I'll do it in 3 seconds. A vote for CESCON is a vote for summer.
What does that mean?
Okay, well done. 3 seconds. Jane, you'll go.
Well, yeah, 3 seconds. Good for you. Okay. So, I mean, honestly, versatility, I just repeat this because I know the boys are a little bit slow there. So just pop that out there again. I just think that the value for money in the Pecorino compared to other varietals like Pinot Grigio or even Dolcetto, it just beats out the other two. You get that complexity. It's so refreshing, and it's something a bit new, a bit different that you might be able to look for next time you're picking up some things for the picnic, or you're picking up some wine to bring over to someone's house for dinner. Hopefully, if our Victoria people, hopefully you can go over to someone's house for dinner.
Okay. Well, that was about 30 seconds. I should interject then, and
where's the timer?
Of course,
where's the timer?
Well, you know, and of course, if you do want to, I should say, if anybody would like to revisit these wines, we do have a special discount for everybody who's attended the tasting this evening. So just keep that in the back pocket if one or a few have really impressed you this evening. Mark, you'll go, and then we're going to launch the poll.
Okay, beautiful. I would just say that my quick summary is light red is the new black. Keep an eye out for it, guys. Light reds are the future. Jump on them. Forget about those whites. Forget about them. Forget about it. Come on.
Okay. Excellent. So I am sharing my screen. As you'll notice, it's a different text message number than what we were running for the Wheel of Wine. I hope everybody can see that. We should, with luck, start to see the text messages coming in.
You can vote as many times as you want, so long as you're voting for me.
Vote early, vote often.
We need some clarity here. Are we voting for the presentation or the wine?
Everything.
We've got our first text. It's the Pecorino is in the lead. 2 votes.
Taking the early lead.
Come on.
The Grigio has come back. Oh, the Pecorino is out in front. Oh, wow.
Come on, team, you can do it.
Oh,
we can
on.
do it.
Oh, come on.
We're with you, Jane.
How does it go backwards?
Where's the Dolcetto?
Okay.
Mark, I'm not going to lie. This is a bit disappointing. Oh, we've got one. That's okay.
Mark, I really like the Dolcetto, but nobody here will vote for it.
You guys can vote individually. That's okay. You can each vote individually. We'll accept that.
Hey.
Oh.
Oh, this is just unbelievable.
Oh,
It's
wow.
the one-horse race.
I think someone's spamming this because we don't even have 27
My
people.
hands are not on my phone, I swear.
Someone did say vote often.
They just liked my wine better. What can I say?
Is it an overseas mobile number potentially?
Oh, this is...
You wouldn't know, you know. It's all fake.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Vladimir's got on the campaign.
We've been hacked, guys. This result does not count.
Putin loves Dolcetto, I have to tell you.
I prefer the Barbera.
We've hit our max. That's it.
Okay, I tell you what, let's give it another 10 seconds. I think the results are pretty conclusive, but you know, purely for Mark and Michael's pride, if nothing else.
He's trying to roll you, Joe.
It's all right. I have faith in everyone. I have a faith that they're gonna vote for the right one. So I'm not worried at this stage. I think we'll be okay. We'll pull through.
Quietly confident.
Jane, is my case on the way? Free case on the way?
Danny, you're supposed to message me that in private.
Oh, sorry.
Danny, how many phones do you have there?
Yeah.
I see that Allison's not there voting. So
Recount.
Okay, well, I think I can pretty conclusively reveal that the Pecorino was the winner, and of course, Jane Moore was the winner of our inaugural United Cellars Summer Italian Wine Debate. So well done, Jane.
Well done, Jane.
Thank you, guys. My wine's empty because it's so good. So that's I guess I'll have to drink one of the other ones. It's okay.
Wow.
It's okay. It's okay.
What happened to the bottle?
Oh, yeah. We sharing is caring. We gave some to the other people. It's fine.
Okay.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So, Mark, do you want to just grab the screen and we'll just wrap things up? I should say thank you so much to our panelists this evening. Michael, thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you very much for all coming along this evening, even though the result was wrong. It is what it is. And thank you so much for joining in and having a good time. I hope that you enjoyed the slightly different format this evening.
Thanks, Michael. Jane, any words?
I just thank you for seeing the light, everyone, this evening. And no, more than anything, I just hope everyone enjoyed learning something new about Italian wines, and hopefully maybe you'll go for a couple of different things moving into summer, and you've got a bit more to choose from.
Excellent. And Mark, any final comments?
Just want to say thank you, everyone, for joining us on this. We took a bit of a risk here. This was the first time we've ever done anything like this, and from a personal note, I had a really good time. Had a great time.
Great time.
I think you might be able to tell I'm not a sales guy, but more the wine nerd than the sales guy. But that's all right.
That's fine.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. So I should say, please feel free to stay on the Zoom call. We love to have a chat afterwards. If you want to give us any feedback or any comments, or just kind of stay and have a drink with us, we'd love to have a conversation. Mark, if you can move us on one. If you guys have enjoyed this and want to, continue the Thursday night online tastings, as I said, we've got the Summer of Riesling next week. We can still get packs out to everybody in New South Wales. And then on the 12th of November, we have the Tyrrell's VAT 1 vertical. So that's one not to be missed if you're a Semillon drinker. And of course,
just for a bit of feedback for everyone. So we're tasting 3 vintages: the 2008, the 2011, which was one of the best vintages in the Hunter Valley's ever seen, 2011, and then the 2015 as well.
Excellent.
As the cellar release manager, I will say I've drunk a fair bit of aged Australian white wines before, and it is not overstating it to say that VAT 1 is in the top 3 aging white wines of Australia. If you haven't had the opportunity to look at proper Semillon when it ages well, there is no better opportunity than attending that little tasting. I'm really, really looking forward to hearing from Bruce Tyrrell himself about it. I think it's going to be one of the great white wine events we get to do in a long time.
Excellent.
And Bruce Tyrrell is one of the best presenters you'll ever. He's always got some great stories, Brucey.
Yeah, he does indeed. And of course, if you haven't attended any tastings previously, we send out a feedback form tomorrow morning. If you're interested in, giving us some ideas for tastings, as you can probably tell, we're constantly trying to come up with new events and interesting wines to taste and learn about. Just let us know. We're looking to build these and really make them into something special. So we'd love to hear your feedback. So look out for that one tomorrow. But from me, all I can say is thanks so much. You've been a great crowd. Thank you for your notes and your comments. It's always massively appreciated. And we really hope to see you again soon. Cheers.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everybody.